hard year. We just looked at each other and went, who are you?
Oh. Yeah.
We love each other. There was no doubt about that. But we were so busy that we forgot about investing in our friendship.
Yeah.
She said something to me, and she said, Raj, this year, do you think you can give me 110%? If you give me 110%, and this time I want you to only give work 80%. I burned every code within my body. Like, wait a minute, you do know that they pay me, right?
This is Ryan and Michelle, and welcome to the Celebrate MarriageCast, where we hope to restore and reclaim godly marriages through honest and real conversations.
Welcome to episode 58. Thank you, listener, for joining us today and investing in your relationship. We have a guest in the studio with us today. Welcome to Roger Gibson. He has so many things to our church. We're just so excited to have him here, but he is a husband, father, author, pastor. He's the son-in-law of the late Gary Smalley. I'm sure that you've heard that name. Gary Smalley was a world-renowned marriage and family expert, and Roger has been such a great influence on our church here and encouragement for Pastor Chris, our marriage and family pastor at Celebrate, and our entire church's marriage ministry. So, Roger, welcome to our show. Thank you so much for being here in person today.
I know. I love this. First time ever in South Dakota.
Oh, all right.
Welcome.
Yeah. So love being here with you guys and also hanging out with Chris. So he actually came down to Fort Worth and visited our church. So we got to meet this way. So it was great to be on his turf and with these amazing people he told me about.
Yes. Well, hey, thank you for that. And so tell us about yourself. And first, so Fort Worth, is Dallas, Fort Worth home for you?
Yes. So Fort Worth on the north side, Cowtown is what we love to call it.
Yeah.
So that's where our church is, up in the North Fort Worth area. Then it's a multi-site church. So we have 5 campuses throughout the North Fort Worth area, from Grapevine to Hazlitt, North Lake, Bedford. And so love it there.
Cool.
We came down from Branson, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you've ever been to Branson, that's where our ministry was, and then got called to be a pastor. So love Texas.
Cool. We've been to Texas just once, I think, right? Twice?
Yep.
Dallas?
Dallas and Austin.
Oh, we did go to Austin. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, and both were really great times. Yeah. But Dallas, we really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I did a half marathon there. Ryan did a full. And what we loved and appreciated about Dallas is that it was flat.
Yes.
Pretty flat, except for I feel like they had a hill at the end, which was kind of a dirty trick.
Yeah.
But
that's how they rope you in, then give you the hard stuff at the end.
An extra challenge.
Yes.
But it was great. Tell us about your family a little bit.
Yeah. So Carrie and I were actually high school sweethearts.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we got together in high school, and she's a couple of years older than I am. I was very proud of that fact. I was dating an older woman.
Nice.
And so now I can't use those words so much. But,
Right.
But she
good call.
is an amazing person. And, we always had a great friendship. It wasn't like that high school lovey-dovey and just hung out with her. We were always laughing and just playing. And then senior year, we broke up. Just college. He was going on and date others. I was going to college. So we dated others for 4 years on it. But we always had a great friendship. And once a year, I would get a card from her for Christmas. And Christmas cards were always thick and big. I always thought they were like a wedding invitation, which I was like, I missed it. But you know what? Thankfully, they were just Christmas cards on it. And so my senior year, he called me and said, hey, I just want to reconnect. A friend of mine brought your name up. I was like, hey, what's Raj up to? Called, and so she's a school teacher, graduated, always wanted to teach in the inner city. That was her dream. Do that, give the blessing to the kids. And so she said, I'd love to show you where I'm teaching. I said, all right, let's do this. And so she showed me. As soon as I went to pick her up, I was like, I love this girl. Yeah. I got to marry this girl.
Wow.
On it. So I went back to school, and my roommate said, you're going to marry this girl. And right there, it just like clicked.
Wow.
So through that, we got married. A lot of people would ask me, what is it like to be married to the Gary Smalley's daughter? because Carrie's the only girl. And I said, one, he gave me the greatest gift ever by having this amazing girl that he raised to understand what love is, how to understanding marriage, and most of all, fully in love with Jesus.
Yeah.
That's really the reason why she broke up with me. And she's like, if I didn't know you, I would never believe you were a Christian.
Wow.
I went, ooh, that one stung.
Yeah, right.
That stung.
Something
So I had to get my life in order. And then luckily the second time around is Christ invaded my heart and just took over. So great thing. And so we got married and have 3 amazing kids, 30, 28, and 16.
Cool.
So my 30-year-old just got married. And
congratulations.
Yeah, I'm so thrilled for him.
Yeah.
Married an amazing girl. I mean, we couldn't pick out anyone better for him. And then Hannah and Zoe.
Okay.
A lot of people ask, what were you thinking? Having a 16-year-old on it. Well, we actually put a lot of thought into it. She's adopted.
Okay.
So she came into our family when she was only 6 months old.
Wow.
From Ethiopia. And hey, reason why I have so many gray hair now, that's why. Is she keeps our house moving. And she's young. So, but we've been married for 32 years.
Cool.
Awesome.
On it. Love it. And you know what? You just look back and you look at marriage. And as couples, as we have kids, and the greatest gift I'm so thankful for is I see the power of an amazing marriage is when you start seeing the kids. I got to be on the reciprocal side of it.
Sure.
On it and seeing with Gary and Norma and their legacy is, wow, I got an amazing wife on it.
Roger, just for our listeners who maybe are unfamiliar with Gary Smalley and his legacy, would you just tell people a little bit, who was your father-in-law? What is his legacy that's still very much alive?
Yeah. So Gary was, well, first of all, when I was dating his daughter, I had no clue who he was. I was just interested.
Really?
I was just like, I just like her. Right. I don't know who you are, but man, your daughter's hot on it. And so I didn't know who he was. And really, to be honest, I didn't care, But,
you were dating her.
Yeah. On it. And, but he always took time to get to know me on that. And I was just going, hey, that's cool. But Gary is this renowned marriage expert that really resonated with the American people because he had this tremendous storytelling. He could tell stories, and he would always tell me, can you believe I get to make a living by telling my mistakes to other people?
Wow.
On it. And he ended up becoming a celebrity counselor. So he counseled a lot of people in Hollywood and on Oprah many times. In fact, Oprah would call him and say, hey, I really want you to appear regularly. But this shows you that Gary really lived out what he taught. He turned down Oprah because he said, I would be away from home too much.
Wow.
On Oprah, Good Morning America, the Today Show, wrote numerous bestsellers, but he really had a gift of taking the complex things that a lot of these marriage researchers would find, and great information, but he would make it so simple for us common people to really get it. And so he just did a great job of doing that. Great writer, wrote many great books. And but more than anything, I always tell people, I didn't really learn a lot from reading his books or hearing him speak. I got to see him live it out in real life.
That's cool.
And that's what really ministered to me.
Yeah.
Great guy.
The works to back up his faith.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And he was so funny. He was always a goofball. Yes.
So cool. Well, it's just cool about his legacy too. So thanks for sharing that. I feel like, for our listeners, if you look at the marriage books around you and just even the people, most of the marriage book authors out there now have been impacted by Gary Smalley.
Yeah.
So Roger, it's just so great to have you on the show,
Well, thank you.
today. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Background.
So today's show is all about having a healthy marriage. We're going to dig into this, the work that's required in order to have one. There's actually a quote we want to share from Gary Smalley, and it says, "What is the secret of a fulfilling marriage? Hard work and persistence." Maybe work isn't like the best word to use. Rather, maybe it's an investment. So let's talk about this word investment and what that means, what's required of us, what that means in marriage.
Yeah, and Gary absolutely believed in that. And he actually had a seminar that he did for years called Love is a Decision. And he would always say, every day you have the power to choose what do you want to invest in. Do you want to invest in your marriage? Do you want to invest in your relationship? Or do you want to just do your own thing? He said, every day you have that power to choose. So he was really big on every day, what decision are you going to make? And I think for a lot of us in our relationship, our marriage is, what investment are we going to make in our marriage today? What do we need to do in our relationship? And that's just something I've just found with couples over and over is we really don't understand that power to choose in our relationship.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, I'm sure you guys maybe do this too, is you wake up and go, I wonder how she's going to make me happy today. What is she going to do for me to make us a better relationship? And we put this power, we give our power away to have a healthy relationship to the other person. Instead of just going, wait, I get to do that. I get to make an investment. What am I going to do today to go, all right, this is what I'm going to do for my marriage today. Carrie loves cards. I mean, she loves cards. And they just can't be any like 99-cent card. They have to be a Hallmark card.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, she doesn't.
The casual flip to the back to see, what it is. Yeah.
Yes, she's a card snob on it. And so, of course, I flip it over and I go, $7 for this thing. But that's an investment.
Sure.
That's important for her.
Sure, if it matters to
Do
her.
it. Yeah. It's you put the thought, but also you know what I love. Now, to me, it's a waste of money. Hopefully she's not listening to this podcast. But for her, is she sees that as, hey, you truly value me. You cherish me. But just going out and buying a card, writing I love her. That yesterday before I got on a plane to come here, I got a huge card for her. And I wrote, to the greatest wife ever, I love you, then ... more than you can ever imagine or dream.
Oh, sweet.
On that.
Yeah.
So I put it right there. I tucked it right there on her kitchen sink where she does the handles.
Sure.
So I kind of bent it in. And you know what? First thing she does when I got off the plane is I had a text and a picture of the card with her having a big smile.
Awesome.
Now, that's a little investment,
Yeah.
right? $7 on that. But those are the little things that we get to wake up. And I didn't have to do that. But I had the power to choose, am I going to make an investment in my relationship today? And what did that do? It just filled her love tank right up going, I feel so loved today on it. So that's kind of when we talk about work. What are we going to do is each and every person is, I work with thousands of couples over the years. I've been involved in this for over 30 marriages. Is understanding I have the power to choose the quality of the relationship I want to have. Most of us don't think that way.
Yeah.
It's kind of freeing when you think of it that way. Like I do have a decision. I have control. And, we talk a lot, Ryan, about every day you're either growing or you're dying. Your marriage is growing or dying.
Yeah.
So today, what decisions am I going to make to pour into my marriage?
Right.
There is a choice.
And what's interesting is super couples. Now, I'm a marriage nerd. I've been doing some observations, some research. Now, this isn't like a Shanti, organized, professional research. Just
Scientific.
me looking at
We have
people.
talked to Shanti. We've had her on the show.
Yeah.
Very scientific.
And she's an amazing person. She does amazing work. But this is just me noticing certain couples, and I would interview them.
Sure. So you come up with this term, super couple.
Super couples.
Okay.
Yeah, because everyone's kind of an average couple. They're not bad, but they're average, normal couple. But what really takes super couples from a different way of doing their relationship that really kind of sets them apart, they're really noticeable to me. They are. And so when we look at it is they kind of basically wake up and they actually think in a way that's not about them, but they actually think about their marriage more than they think about what am I going to achieve today? They think about their marriage more than basically work. They think about more than their marriage and their own kids. Is they know that, wait, if I want a great relationship, that's my power on it. So that's kind of how they think, is they think more in the side of us as opposed to you and I or me. Is, all right, so through us, what can I do to invest in our relationship? They think first about marriages. And working with so many couples, a lot of couples don't think that way. So when you talk about investment, a lot of times, or you think about practice, no one wants to go work out. Now, you guys were runners. You guys did a lot of running. Waking up at 5:30 in the morning and going for a run sometimes isn't that exciting on it. But it was a choice you made because you knew that investment in that run is going to help you to get to that race. That Dallas Marathon where you got to conquer that hill at the end. No, you got to do that. So those are really how couples think, is they think this investment is for the long term to get me where I want to be.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a really selfless decision too, kind of putting out their selfish desires of what are they going to do to make me happy, but what can I do to really make our relationship holy and to honor God and to honor my spouse?
Right. Yes. And that's when you talk about your relationship with Jesus. You talk about your relationship with God. Is when you talk about super couples, that's really at the top of their list. Is I found that when you have a conversation with them, they always, usually in some way or another, they will say, I treasure Jesus above my spouse. I treasure my relationship with Jesus more than I treasure my relationship with my partner. Sometimes that just feels odd to say.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because you're like going, wait a minute, you're always taught my relationship with my spouse is number one on it. But then if you grew up in church, then it's like my relationship with God is number one, then my relationship with my partner is number two. But do we really live it out that way? And do we actually ever tell even our own kids, hey, you know who I love more than mom? Is Jesus.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't ever say that because it doesn't feel right, does it?
Right.
Yeah.
On it. But what we found is that when we treasure Jesus above our spouse, is it naturally puts in the things inside of us that comes out that's actually more attractive to our spouse on that. I mean, you look at the fruit of the Spirit. I mean, come on. Who can't love the person that's full of love, joy, peace,
patience,
kindness, goodness, gentleness,
self-control,
faithfulness, and self-control.
Yeah.
That person's irresistible on it. But then you get into, wait a minute, now Jesus is my source of life on it. So then that sets me free to be like, I'm not dependent on you anymore to be my source of life. I don't have to wait for you to make me full of joy and happy because that's already coming from God. So here's the common thing I found is my wife, my husband, it's just icing on the cake. And I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah.
On it. And more is it puts them in a place of going, since Jesus meets all my needs, now I get to come from a place of going, how can I help them get what they want? Now you put two of those people together when they're waking up going, how can I meet your need? How can I meet your need? Now they're out trying to serve each other.
Right.
I'm going to outdo you today, loving you.
Right.
No, I'm going to outlove you on it. That's an amazing relationship. And that's really what super couples do every day is they try and figure out, how can I outlove you?
Yeah. I love this concept of being an investment. One, it's what I do for a living. So like it's super intriguing to me. And there's really two things that are jumping out to me. And one, we talked about this in our small group. We have a couple small group of just these series of small decisions.
Yeah.
And this compounding effect that happens. And, I'm just thinking about this card, right? Like, it's $7, right? But like that investment just compounds. And you keep doing those same decisions, one card, two cards, like it just...
I have shoe boxes full of cards from Ryan and it's compounded.
Yeah. And it grows.
Yeah.
It's an investment that grows, that's guaranteed to grow when you're investing in your spouse.
Right. Absolutely is. But when you're investing, I love the way how you said it compounds on that. And when we start looking and doing these things and we're looking for that, sometimes Gottman would say commitment is not just words, but it's a million little actions
Yeah.
on that. And every time you wrote a card and she put that in that shoebox, when she put that cover back on the shoebox of that card, Ryan loves me even more. Puts a smile on her face on that and makes her feel more cherished, more loved. And that's really when we talk about that investment is those little actions that we're doing, not just our words, but our actions that are showing, which ultimately is what we're really doing is we're building that friendship.
Yeah.
And we're building a friendship because that's what trooper couples do. They treasure Jesus, but they invest in their friendship with each other. And I believe great friendships make great marriages.
Yeah.
That's what you want to invest in. And how do we do that is by doing the things you were just talking about. It's not the big, grandiose vacation to the Bahamas. It's those little cards.
Yeah.
Carrie also loves flowers. She is a classic girl and loves cards, loves flowers. And so when I get flowers and bring her back the flowers, she has her favorite vase. I know it's the white vase. It looks like something that should be on Chip and Joanna Gaines' show.
Nice.
So I stuff them in there. I learned to put that little packet. I never knew that packet was for.
Sure. The flower food.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
So I cut that thing, put it in there, and try and get it all put there for her. And then when she comes out, it's so it's that little gasp where I know that she feels honored.
Yeah.
She feels cherished and treasured. And those are the things that we just invest in our friendship. Because really, more than anything, what is friendship going to do? It's going to allow us to feel safe with one another.
Yeah. Yeah.
On it. And that's where the fun happens.
Yeah.
Is you can cut up and have fun together. And Howard Markman, who's one of the great marriage researchers, University of Denver, basically did the research and said that couples that have fun together stay together.
Yeah.
On it. And I don't know about you, but I love having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On that.
Absolutely.
And we always say our best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that. We want to marry our best friend. And when we talk about friendship is when couples come in for counseling and want help with their relationship, it's always like we feel disconnected. I don't know what's happening or what's going on I just want my friendship back.
Sure.
On that. But I've never had anyone ever come in and say, hey, Pastor, I really need to talk to you. I'm feeling way too loved.
Yeah.
I have never had that on it. And that's why what we were talking about is that investment, is making that friendship, is doing those things so that way we can wake up and be like a super couple and go, how can I outdo her today?
Yeah.
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 And sorry, love, we're going to go.
No, the other thing I just wanted to point out was, I think when it comes to investing, the other big thing is time.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a variety of things, like in the world that I live in, everybody wants to know what should I invest in? Like with the idea of it doubling or tripling in the first year, like it rarely happens that way.
Right.
It takes time. It takes, I think that factors into your priorities that you set. That factors into, this great marriage is built over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not, we got married. It's a great marriage. Like it takes time to build it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say, it reminds me, Roger, what you were saying and what Ryan was saying is it's like that person building in the cathedral. Like it's that old fable of, a guy was like, what are you doing? And one guy was like, I'm laying brick. And another guy was like, well, what are you doing? And the other guy was like, well, I'm building a cathedral. But it's like one brick at a time. That's what builds your life, right? Those daily actions, those daily choices, that builds your marriage. There aren't, I mean, you have your honeymoon, you might have some big vacations, but the bulk of your marriage is these little tiny decisions, these acts, these, gifts of love, of the flowers, the cards, acts of service, whatever that is for your spouse. But it's these little things that they're doing that builds a marriage. Yeah,
absolutely. And Ryan, what you brought up is really the fox of friendship in marriage is time. Is busyness.
Yeah.
Is when friendships start going and we get into disconnection is the busyness of couples. Is we wake up and we got our schedules to do. We got not only taking our kids to school, then we're trying to get to work, we're trying to manage, and we're having lunch appointments, and then we get going late and we're late picking up our kids. We get our kids back. Now we got to get them to soccer practice. We got to get them to tutoring, band, all these things, and we're just going. Then our weekends get full.
Yeah.
A club or band or gymnastics meet, dance meets, all these things that come in where couples literally at the end of the day collapse.
Yeah.
And they never talked.
Yeah.
In 2016 is when I accepted the job to come to our church, Fellowship at the Parks. And we moved from Branson but it took us 6 months to move on it. And so I went back and forth for 6 months. So I'd work for a week, then come back, then work for a week, come back. And so it's just a lot of traveling. And anytime you start a ministry, it's just very much like an entrepreneur starting a business.
Sure.
It takes a lot of work, a lot of processes, systems. No one knew me. So I had to do a lot of meeting. We're a multi-site campus. So not only at one campus, I could be at the other campuses too. And then Carrie got hired to be our orphan care director. So she was having to start a brand new ministry as well.
Yeah.
And so we're starting our ministries. We're working. We're trying to sell a house in Branson, then move and buy a house in Texas, which I'd never heard this before. I never had to bid up on a house.
Oh.
I was like, I thought we'd go below, but in Texas, you got to go above the asking price on it. And so we were just doing all these things, burning. Zoe was starting a brand new school. Hannah was starting college. Our son was on his own in Springfield, helping to get him in. We're literally at the end of the year. Carrie and I looked at each other. Oh, in that year, her father passed away. So that was the year Gary passed away.
Okay.
My brother's wife, 48 years old, died of a cardiac arrest. Just boom, died.
Wow.
Hard year. And at the end of the year, when you kind of do that New Year's thing, we just looked at each other and went, who are you?
Wow.
Yeah.
It was such a disconnection between us because we love each other. There was no doubt about that. But we were so busy that we forgot about investing in our friendship.
Yeah.
It was about, we got to get this stuff done. Checklist. We go to church. I may be at this campus. She's at another campus. So even on Sundays, we weren't worshiping together. We weren't going to church together. And it was the worst year of our marriage.
Wow.
I learned a valuable lesson. She said something to me. And she said, Raj, you've always given 110% to whatever you do. I mean, you go after it and you do it well and you give it all you got. I admire you for that. But this year, do you think you can give me 110%?
Wow. Ouch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm going, I don't know, seriously, because I'm trying to build this ministry. I mean, we need to save couples' marriages. We got a lot of work to do. She said, if you give me 110%, and this time I want you to only give work 80%. I burned every code within my body. Like, wait a minute. You do know that they pay me, right? And that's why we eat, is because we're working. She said, but I think you could probably work it out in your schedule to find some margin in there. So because you work hard, you talk all day long, where literally I would come home exhausted.
Sure.
Yeah.
I had no energy to give her. And so when you talk about investment, I had to start blocking off things in my calendar where almost like cheating work, where I was only given 80%. I felt really guilty about that. But then I would come home and I had energy.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, girl, let's party. Let's go. And it actually started changing my marriage. It's because now, instead of coming home exhausted, she said, you always say I'm the most important person up there. You're up there speaking, but then I want to see it here.
Yeah.
It was burn on that.
Yeah.
So I actually started planning in my calendar. I started doing a lot less counseling. on that. That's why we started doing some other things. I made some shifts because if that's true, I needed to live that out
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
And so I give 80% at work now on it, and come home, I'm ready to engage with her in communication and talk to her, but in the friendship. And from 2017, it just made not only just working, but doing life with her so much fun because I built in that margin.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys, we're all raised with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, Roger, it's so countercultural that what you're saying right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so true. And it's so, I heard this in a book, or I read this in a book about your energy and coming home exhausted and having nothing left. And it was this question that was posed to, if your best client called you at 5 p.m., would you have energy for them?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, it hit me of like, oh man, like, yeah, there's a disconnect here.
Right.
And giving, or if some opportunity came up in ministry and it's 5 and all of a sudden you're like, yes, I can do that. I have this, all of a sudden you have energy again. Mm-hmm. And it's this disconnect that happens. Mm-hmm. And I certainly have fallen into that for sure. And I think a lot of people can relate to that of I give everything I have from 8 to 5.
Right.
And I come home exhausted and I check out.
Mm-hmm. And that happens day after day after day, where then the friendship starts going away. And then that's where the disconnection, that's where we get into trouble in our relationship. That's where the messy happens.
Yeah.
And that's where we stop guarding our relationship. We stop investing in our relationship because now we're just mad at each other.
Yeah.
You're not meeting my needs. He may come home, he's exhausted. He's going, man, how about a little, you know what, tonight?
Right.
And she's going, well, you haven't talked to me today. You haven't reached out to me. You haven't prioritized me.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
And so then we both get frustrated, hearts get shut down. And then we're now looking at the thing, how do I repair this?
Yeah.
On this? Because I think every couple falls in this, and especially as pastors, because I could be in that counseling session at 5 o'clock. It's in a bad place. I got to figure out, how do I land this plane? Because I got a date night at 6 o'clock.
Right.
On it. And Carrie wants me to have energy for her. And then it just spirals, and I don't get home until 6:15.
Yeah.
That just shuts her down even more because once again, it just shows that you're more invested at work in me. Because if you really wanted and prioritized our relationship, you would have told them, hey, I'm so sorry. I need to end. We can pick this up next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
One quick thought I had, Roger, when you said that you put a little less into work and then more, you're aware of what you're putting in at home. Does that actually in turn though, because you're probably happier at home, does that actually benefit work too?
Absolutely.
Because your whole life is now a little more not in balance, but we've talked about in church, it's not about finding balance. It's just like being present in the areas that you're at, because you can't, if you're a teeter-totter, it's hard to find balance totally. But does that make your work and your home life both better?
Oh, yeah. It raises your whole quality of life.
Yeah.
On it, because you're really getting what you really want.
Yeah.
Every man, best friend is really their wife. A lot of guys, we don't have a lot of close friendship, and we rely on her friendship. But then when she's not talking to us, it just then shuts us down even more. Mm-hmm. And so when we're investing in our marriage, we're kind of got good balance.
Yeah.
It raises your whole quality of life. It raises your relationships at work. It raises your relationship at the home, not just with your wife, but with your kids too, because now you have the energy for that.
Yeah.
And here's what I love. Because that relationship is rich. We're enjoying life together, our kids. Now we're way more reconnected, where when he comes home and says, hey, she says, you betcha.
Yeah.
And it's like, it works.
Right.
It really does. So that's what we really do want to have good balance, but I would love to see more of us. And also women can be on this side too. Women can overwork, or they
Sure.
put too much into being on social media or with the kids, and guys can do the same thing. But what if we started taking all of that and we start spending that extra time into our investment into our marriage?
Yeah.
Hey, it's a whole new ballgame.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good. And I realize on the flip side of this, there may be relationships that are in need of forgiveness or communication to get to that healthy spot. So, Roger, you're coming back next week for us to talk about communication and forgiveness, correct?
Yep, to help
right.
us reconnect and get that friendship back.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yay. It's been so
Well,
good.
yeah, it's been so good. Roger, we want to ask you, we ask all of our guests 3 rapid fire questions here. First thing that comes to your mind. So the first one, what is your marriage why? Why is marriage important to you?
Because I don't see people enjoying life together. So my mission, my why is I want to see couples have great friendships so they can enjoy life together.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. All right, best date night.
Best date night, hands down, surprised Carrie, bought a plane ticket, did a day date to San Francisco,
That's cool.
Wow.
and come back the same day,
Wow.
eating clam chowder on the wharf. Amazing. My mom was a flight
That's
attendant,
epic.
so it wasn't like very expensive for
That's
me.
amazing.
But it was awesome.
Awesome. All right, and what is bringing you joy in your marriage right now?
You know, we're at a unique season of life right now. And so what's really kind of bringing me joy is taking delight in our family. Is Carrie and I are just, our investment into our kids, into our marriage, and seeing our own son who just got married and our daughters just kind of say, hey, mom and dad, thank you for being there for us. And what I love is my son said, Dad, even though it was a little weird, but the way how you would tell us how much you love mom and her sexy body. Now I get it. Because he's
Awesome.
married. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of fun to just, wow, our kids were actually paying attention.
Yeah.
You're modeling that relationship that you want them to have someday.
Yes.
So cool. Great questions. Roger, thank you so much for being on our show today.
My pleasure.
We're looking forward to having you back next week for forgiveness and communication, how to restore that friendship. And thank you, our listeners of the Celebrate MarriageCast, for joining us today. You can always find us at Celebrate.church or Celebrate.church/marriage for resources. We're on Instagram at Celebrate MarriageCast. We would love to hear your feedback and just engage with you. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to being with you on Friday. And in the meantime, have a great week.
Have a great week.